Hey gamers, today we're going to look at Trogdor, the board game. Let's check it out. Except for the game, you're going to place the tiles in any order you want, or the book actually gives you some starting and beginner tiles based on the difficulty level. They have it set up different ways, but you always start with a Trogdor, the Burninator, and the center tile you'll have thatch roof cottages. By the way, this is the special Kickstarter edition. The regular version basically has all these characters in meeple form, which isn't bad. These are really nice too. I would use these if I didn't have the nicer version. The Kickstarter version also came with the some of the original looks for Trogdor if you want to switch up his look there. And you could also get this. I did. It's not really useful for anything, but it's all the Homestar Runner characters in meeple form, which I just couldn't resist. In fact, there is a mini game in this called Stack 'em to the Heavens. It's a dumb little game. Basically, you take these meeples, put them all in the bag, take them out, and you're stacking them up, and the first one to knock the stack over loses. It's just a dumb little fun mini game they have in it, but this is the Kickstarter version here that I'm showing you. Now, after you set that up, you're going to put a peasant next to each cottage here. So I have all the peasants here, and that's what the peasants look like. The pieces here are really nice. You'll have an archer out. You'll have two of these knights out here. You'll have the rest of your peasants on your Trog meter here. You'll start off with 4. You can get more in the game. You have the little flaming helmet if you want to set a peasant on fire, which is a lot of fun. It's placed over here for now. And then the Trog hammer, who he only comes out after Trogdor takes his first hit. There are some Trog hammer cards in the deck here, and you basically are supposed to shuffle them in after he takes his first hit. Any peasants that get, if Trogdor's over here, if any peasants get hit, they go into the void. This is the card that says put them in the void, or if you flip it over, it says also the void. This game has a lot of inside jokes and is really funny. But anyway, you'll have your stack of action cards here, your stack of direction cards here, or wherever you want them, and then you have keepers and items of Trogdor. Each player is going to get one of each of these cards, and they're going to allow you to do a special ability in the game. So in this one, I get 1 bonus action point per card I play, which is really nice. And then for an item, I get the Ring of VoIP. I can teleport Trogdor to any tile. Now on these, when you use it, you tap them to the side. Now to recharge it, you'll be able to use it again, it says when a cottage or cottage tile is burninated. So when one of those two are done, you can flip this back over and then use it again, but only when it meets this standard here. So this is a every once in a while power, and this is an ongoing power that you have. And all players in the game, this is a co-op game, will have cards like this. Now some of these cards are really hilarious. One of them is just the cheat, and it says cheat. We don't care how, you get to cheat once per turn. So it doesn't take itself seriously, and it shouldn't. It's Trogdor the Burninator game. So anyway, players will start with each one of these, and then they're going to start with 2 cards. Now what they're going to do is they're going to choose between these cards. These cards will let them do basically special actions in the game, and it tells you how many action points you have. Now for those action points, what can you do? Well, for one action point you can move. For another action point you can burninate a tile that is adjacent to you. You just flip it over and it is now burninated. For another point, if there's a peasant on your tile, you can eat that peasant and add him to your Trog meter, which is basically your health, which is really nice. Or for an action point, you can burninate him. When you burninate him, you grab one of these direction cards, and the only thing you're looking at is the movement path, because it says he's going to go west, west, north, north, north. So he goes west, and they get something called wraparound, which means if they got to go west again, they'll just wrap around to the next one, west. So he goes here, he lights this cottage on fire, he lights this tile on fire, and he lights another peasant on fire. So this is really turning out to be a good move here. I'll say why in a minute, but then he'll go north, north, north. So he goes north, north, north. Well, he burninates all those other spaces here. Now, he doesn't, knights and archers don't get burned in this case, just the peasant will. And so he burns all those. Now, that's not the end. Once he's been burninated, he goes into the void. He's out of the game. So there is a risk to burninating. But as you see, I burninated another villager. Well, I mean, yeah, peasant there. So which is really cool because I get to draw another card. And here I would go south, south, east, east, as the card says here. So south, south, and he burned this one up. And then he goes east, east. Wow, this is really a good card here because not only did he burninate another cottage and that tile upon it, but he also burninated another peasant. So you can kind of see, man, even though he goes into the void, now he goes up, and I'm just doing this for my own curiosity here. Now he's going east, north, northeast. So he goes east, north, northeast, and that's the turn there. So burninating a ton of tiles there, and that's the whole purpose of the game. You want to burninate all the tiles and the thatch roof cottages. But of course I killed all 3 peasants there, which may not have been as well, but look at all the damage that Trogdor did there just on one action alone. Other actions you can do is burn cottages, but you have to burn all of the areas around it. Now in that case where there's a peasant, you don't have to follow that rule. But if I wanted to burninate this cottage, I would have to burninate all the spaces around it, then burnate the tile on it, and then finally I could burnate the cottage. And when you burn a thatch roof cottage, that's really good because it prohibits more peasants from spawning onto the board. Because if a card sometimes will say, like this one, 4 peasants, okay? Well, I gotta put 4 peasants on the board if there aren't 4 peasants. So right now there's no peasants, but only 1 can spawn per cottage. So only 1 spawns here because none can spawn there or there because those have been burninated. That's really good. And then they'll say, hey, peasants move northwest. So I'll move them northwest. Now in some of these, and I'll look at some of the other ones, it says, hey, you have to have 2 peasants on the board. So in this case, I'd add another peasant. Let's say if I drew this one next, and it says move and repair. Now this is really bad. I would have to move northeast. So wrap around would put him northeast, so he'd be up here, and he would actually repair that land. And he would move northeast and not repair anything. So sometimes peasants can repair land. Now they can't repair thatch roof cottages, but knights can. And if a knight moves on a tile, as you see, which I'll get to in a minute. Let me just get to that in a minute. But anyway, as you see, peasants can repair things. So, chomp peasants, burnate places, burnate villages. You cannot hurt knights or archers unless you have a special card that allows you to do it. Like I had a card one time that you can pound a knight, and so he won't move that round if you're adjacent to him. Other things you can do, you can burrow into tunnels, kind of hide from archers and knights in here. You can move from one tunnel to the next. You can also hide in mountains as well. And there are some cards that let you hide for a free action. When you do that, you just lay him down, and anyone that passes through him doesn't hurt Trogdor. Anyway, after you've done all your actions, you're going to draw a card here. And just like I said, you're going to move and repair. You're going to add any peasants to the board that need peasants that can be added to the board. Then you're going to move or move and repair, whatever it says here. Then you're going to follow this path for all of the knights and archers. So for instance, this knight would go north, north, east, east. So he goes north, north, east, east. Now, he doesn't repair the tiles here, but he does repair the thatch roof cottages. Again, that's what the knights can do there. So that was very bad for me. I'm going to have to re-burninate that cottage there. This one goes north, north, east, east, and he's fine there. This archer goes north, north, east, east. Now that's bad for me because it doesn't hurt him when he falls on me, but wherever his last spot is, if it would have said south here, he would have been pointed south and west, shot both ways and been fine. But since his last movement was east, he can shoot me from any distance where he is here. He'd shoot both ways. If he hits me, Trogdor loses another peasant, and that is bad. Because if I ever get to 0, I'm fine, but if I have to lose one more peasant, I don't have any on the Trog meter, then Trogdor is dead and you lose the game. There's something called Trogdor's Fiery Rage though, where you can pull, well, it's actually 5 direction cards, and Trogdor will move according to those direction cards and burnate everything in his path, including thatch roof cottages. But anyway, that's at the end of the game if you don't win, but that's how the game can end. Now, once you take your first hit, the Trog hammer can come onto the board and start moving as well. There are Trog hammer cards. Look at that, got one at the very beginning. So if you pull a Trog hammer card, you have to move the Trog hammer. What that means is you take another card and just move the directions and move the Trog hammer there. And of course, if he crosses paths with Trogdor on the way through, then he can hurt him. So Trog hammer can move with this card, and there are several of these cards in the deck, and of course he'll move when everyone else moves as well, so he can be very dangerous. And again, there's no way to defeat the Trog hammer. So that's what you're doing. You're moving around the place, you're eating peasants to put them on your bird, or you're burninating, like I said earlier, or you're burninating thatch roof cottages, as long as you surround everything. Oh, another thing I should mention, a special rule here is with the lakes. With the lakes, you need to burninate all the tiles around it before you can burninate the lake. And if a man who's on fire, and I think I messed up this rule, if that peasant, which I think he did, if he would have rolled over here, then he would not have burninated that place. In fact, he would have extinguished himself. All right, because he would have put out the fire. So I'm sorry if I showed him burninating that tile. He actually would have doused himself and been fine. But the little lakes, they cannot burn. Obviously, the peasants can't burn them. However, Trogdor can, as long as he has them surrounded. And again, what you're trying to do is you're trying to, of course, burninate everything. If you can do that, you win. Again, if you died before you could, you have Trogdor's Fiery Rage, where you draw 5 cards and you follow the movements, burning everything in sight and seeing if you can win the game. This is a co-op game. It's meant to have fun, but basically that is Trogdor, the burninating board game. Final thoughts. What do I think about the game? Well, I am a big fan of Strong Bad, so when I saw this on Kickstarter, I had to get it. It is a fun little co-op game. It's very simple. It's meant to be fun. It's not meant to be taken seriously. Of course, I got the little Kickstarter edition, which is really cool as well. The regular edition's fine too. I don't mind playing with the meeples. Now, I've never played the mini game Stack 'em to the Heavens because it's not really that big of a game, but I would for fun. I probably would. I played this game a couple of times already, and already I love it. Is it the best game in the world? No. Is it for everyone? Probably not. Only for people who get Strong Bad would ever even enjoy this game. I mean, it's kind of weird to think about a dragon with a beefy arm, right? Burninating places. People probably look at this game going, what the heck? If they never saw Strong Bad. So again, there's a real targeted audience here. But for me and anyone else who loves Strong Bad or who enjoyed Trogdor, this is definitely worth your time. It's a lot of fun. Again, it's not a serious game. It's a light game, a light co-op game. I do have some friends who did watch Strong Bad back in the day with me, and of course they absolutely adore the game. So for me, it's worth my money. For you, you have to decide if it's worth your time or not. All right, folks, that's it for now. Until next time, game on.